Elwyn Forest has seen better days. Conflicts abroad have left Stormwind's garrisons empty, and without their security, trouble has begun to creep back in from the depths of the forest. Kobolds have descended from the local hills and have overrun the local gold mines, stunting the minting of new coinage. The Riverpaw Knolls occupy the west and northeast and harass the roads and its travellers, and under the red banner of the Defias Brotherhood, more of the disenfranchised and impoverished turn to banditry each day. Heavily outnumbered, the local marshals were desperate for help, and our adventure began with our answer to their call. Officially deputised and eager to explore, it's our job to step in where Stormwind can't, and to bring order to Elwyn's chaos. This all being said, things aren't as bad as they used to be. During the First War, 25 years ago, when the Orcs invaded through the Dark Portal, the Horde killed everyone and burned everything down, all the way from the Swamp of Sorrows to Stormwind. The local humans may be living through dark times, but still in their collective memory is a time far darker, and so, despite the bandits and beasts, the residents of Elwyn still find time for love potions, fishing and fairs. Thanks partly to our efforts, Elwyn Forest still feels safe, but this sense of sanctuary needs to be maintained, and so off we go again, on another adventure. As an adventurer, it's not too long before we find ourselves up the road and through the gates of Stormwind, the capital of the Alliance. And as a paladin in training, a visit to its cathedral is a guarantee. In the nave is our future friend and mentor, Dithorian Rawle, and he has a quest for us, our first class quest. Class quests are, as the name suggests, unique only to certain classes. Throughout the course of the game, each class receives a handful, and not only do they unlock unique abilities for that class, but thematically are an important part of that class's journey. Dithorian hands us a book, the Tome of Divinity. In all things, a paladin must reflect the light which supplements our strength. To strive to be divine for one of our kind does not mean we strive for godhood, we strive to be good in all actions. Although called upon to smite evil in these harsh times, you must always remember that it's aiding others that will truly set you apart from the citizens of Azeroth. Compassion, patience, bravery, these things mean as much to a paladin as strength in battle. Know this well, and never forget it. After taking in these words, we're given our first task, to find someone in need of help, and to help them. Stormwind is divided into about 8 areas, and there are interesting characters in each of them who may need our help. Where we are now is the Cathedral Square, nestled away in the back of the city. It's of course dominated by its cathedral, but also houses the local records office, the empty embassy for the Argent Dawn, a faction we'll become familiar with far later in our travels, an armour shop that nobody ever goes to because buying common gear from vendors is a complete waste of time, and an orphanage, which when considering the conflict with the Horde, is likely very busy. Separating the city's districts is a sprawling canals system that I often fall into when not paying attention, and a bridge over it to the east leads to the Dwarven district. A thick layer of coal smoke permeates this place night and day, a byproduct of the many forges manufacturing weapons and armour constantly to supply the war effort. Everyone here is just too busy to deal with trainees like us. A bit hidden at the back of the district is the Deep Run Tram, a marvel of gnomish engineering. This underground and underwater tram line heads all the way in a straight line from Stormwind to Ironforge, the Dwarven capital, and is probably the coolest piece of public transport I've ever seen in a video game. But I'm taking us off topic and off map, so let's head back above ground. The next district along is the Old Town, but before then, between these two places, is the entrance to Stormwind Keep. The keep is introduced to us with a long hallway and a high ceiling, with guards flanking us all the way across. At the end of the hallway stands Stormwind's rulers. Regent High Lord Bolvar Fordragon, Councillor Lady Katrana Presta, and the King, Anduin Wrynn. The previous king, Varian Wrynn, Anduin's father, has gone missing and needs to be found, but unless he's dead and buried in a back garden, I don't think we're in a position to help. Speaking of gardens, the one in the keep is beautiful, and no doubt a needed getaway from political court life. And next to it is the Stormwind Library. This place is great for any green adventurer like us, because here we can learn about Azeroth's history. Books on the Guardians of Tirisfal, the Fall of Lordaeron, and the Well of Eternity are all free to read and offer a great primer on the World of Warcraft before World of Warcraft. Make a mental note of this book here, Draconic for Dummies. We'll get back to it later. Eventually. Off from the garden is also the Stormwind Gallery, though it's a bit less impressive, and frankly, I completely forgot it even existed. It's dominated by these huge statues. The one to the left is Lady Mara Fordragon, likely a relative of the High Lords. The one to the right is Grand Admiral Daelin Proudmoore, the late ruler of the faraway island kingdom of Kultiras, and hero of the Second War, which ended 20-odd years ago. And in the centre is King Lane I of Stormwind, who reigned during the First War, 25-odd years ago, and who is King Anduin's grandfather. The two statues at the back of the room don't have any plaques, but we will get to those later. Anyway, back to the old town. This part of the city is the only part to survive Stormwind's sacking when the Orcs invaded, and it never quite recovered. It's now home to the city's criminals and downtrodden, and would be quite dangerous if not for the fact that Stormwind's military and spy organisation both barrack here. The old town is a quiet place that adventurers rarely find a reason to visit, but this makes the place a nice getaway. The Pig and Whistle Tavern especially being a nice spot to hang out with friends or maybe do a bit of cooking. Similar in its solitude, on the other end of the city, is the park. This place is a monument to leisure and to nature, and is where Stormwind's night elves have made their home. In the stead of a cobbled street is a grassy meadow, with a beautiful elven moonwell in the middle, which can be used as a swimming pool. Despite the park having lots of open buildings, it doesn't have many inhabitants, as its tavern and shops are vacant for players to roleplay in. Similarly green, over a canal bridge to the south, is the Mage Quarter, which is equally, if not more, beautiful, and its opulence clearly displays the mage's place in Stormwind's high society. The narrow winding roads between tall buildings and below shops makes this place feel magical, which shouldn't be surprising. There are several useful shops, a dodgy tavern called the Slaughtered Lamb which no paladin would dare enter, and most importantly is the Wizard's Sanctum, as though you'll rarely see people travelling up its impressive spiral ramp, you'll see many travelling down, as the fastest way back home is always through a mage's portal, and this is where they drop you off. Now then, onto the Trade District, the heart of the city. This is where the activity is. It's home to Stormwind's bank, auction house, and flight master, and therefore it's where most of its adventurers are too. At times there are hundreds of players here, all waiting on their friends, socialising, shopping at the auction house, posting mail, and trying to get to the top of that fountain, and it's sites like this that really make the game come alive.